Next topic is automation of the process. So this process automation, what is the meaning of it? We have encountered this term a lot of times in previous topics also, that process automation is required, component based development should be there. So this automation, it needs to grow depending on the scale of the effort, just as the construction process varies depending on whether you are building a small project or any big project. So that's why this kind of projects is being written over here, like if you are developing a single family home or any skyscraper or any, the software process varies according to the spectrum from single person spreadsheet task to large scale. So that depends what kind of project you are developing, whether it is small scale, large scale. So in these kind of scenarios, what happens that many software development organizations, they are focused on evolving mature processes to improve the software management predictability and performance of their software line of business in terms of the quality, market run in market, how your complete organization is doing. uh, that depends a lot on the process that the organization is following. Okay, then your profitability, your productivity. So while process definition is necessary, a significant level of automation of the process is required. Why it is required? For modern software development projects, so that they can have, so that the organizations can have more and more profit, return on investment, you can say, and quality products they can give. So that's why this automation of the process is very much required, in especially if we are talking about the modern practices that we are following right now in the scenario. Okay, so the environment must be like the first artifact for the process. What kind of infrastructure is to be provided in the organization for the employees, and what kind of environment the organization is providing to the employees for their skillful development, that is very much required. Okay, first thing. Another thing is process automation and change management, they are critical to iterative process. So we have seen this term also again. Iterative approach is like again and again we are developing in the form of cycles. So if change is too expensive, is it is too costly, then the development organization will resist. Next is any external stakeholders, they need access to the tools and techniques, the resources to improve the interaction with the development team, and they add the value to the process. So automation is required and it grows depending on the scale of the effort. That's why this line has been said. And the techniques, training, time scales, acceptance criteria, level of automation significantly at opposite ends of the spectrum. So integrating such kind of infrastructure has proven to be more like you can say sometimes it is like useful also, sometimes it is not useful also. That depends on the requirement. You can say okay, sometimes you have done much more and sometimes you have done much less. So apart from that, go according to the pace of the requirement. That is recommended. So most organizations, they are confronted with the task of integration their own environment, their infrastructure for the development of the software. And this process typically results in the selection of more or less incompatible tools that have different information repositories. So that can also happen if the scenario is like that. Another thing is like automating the development process and establishing the infrastructure for supporting different workflows are important activities of engineering stage of the life cycle. And it includes like your selection of the tool, your custom development, your process automation necessary to perform against development plan and acceptable efficiency. To complicate matters further, it is rare to find stakeholders who treat environment as a first class artifact, which is necessary for the maintenance of the product. So that's why there are some things that we have to remember. Key points are there for the first class artifact of the process. because we are saying the environment is the first class artifact of the process that is very much required for the organization, what kind of environment they are providing. So these are some of the points that you have to keep in your mind, like process automation, change management, they are critical to iterative process. If it is too costly, then development organization will resist it. Next is your round trip engineering, integrated environments, they promote change freedom. And at whatever point you want to change some things, that flexibility should be there, that kind of environment should be there. And effective evolution of technical artifacts. Next is our metrics automation is crucial to effective project control. And external stakeholders need access to environment resources to improve the interaction with the development team. So already these are some points that I already told you in previous slide also. So there are three levels of process introduced for this you can say the process automation, and each level requires some certain degree of the process automation for the corresponding process. First one is your meta process, then your macro process and micro process. These three types of processes are there, and if you have attended the classes properly of previous lectures, then it will be easy for you to understand these terms. So this meta process and organization policies, procedures, practices for managing software intensive line of business. Automation support for the level is called as an infrastructure. Infrastructure basically is an inventory of preferred tools, your templates of the artifacts, your guidelines which are to be followed, and performance repository, databases, organizational skill sets, library of different skill sets to improve the skill set of the people, personas of the organization, according to your past plans and results. So in this way, this meta process, it's basically like the automation support for this level is called as an infrastructure. Here we are talking about complete your tools, preferred tools, your artifacts that are to be implemented, your guidelines which are to be followed, your databases, repositories, performance repositories, skill sets, libraries to improve the skills. So that kind of process, if it is to be followed, that kind of process is called as a meta process, which sets the organization's policies, processes, and practices for managing the line of business. Okay. Macro process is related with the like your budget, your schedule, quality constraints, and automation support for the project's process is called like macro processes are related to the tools and techniques environment of the organization. So this environment of the organization is a specific collection of the tools to produce specific set of artifacts, you can say, according to your project plan. But here we have seen in meta process, we have to talk about the policies, procedures of the organization, which includes your tools requirement, implementation of artifacts, guidelines, performance, databases. But here we are talking about your budget, your time period, and your quality constraints. So that is the environment. So two terms you have to remember for meta process, infrastructure, for macro process, environment. So you can relate it so that you can remember these terms properly. Last one is our micro process. This micro process, again for the policies and procedures and practices of the organization, automation support for generating an artifact. Here for the micro process is called as a tool. In first one, meta process, we talked about infrastructure. Macro process, we talked about environment. In micro process, in a specific way, we have to talk about tools. So typical tools includes like your you can say modeling tools, design part, compilers, editors, debuggers, any metric automation, the matrices that you are utilizing to check your system, to test your system, the automation of those matrices, any automation tools for the documentation purpose, automation for the testing, for the estimation of the budget, what kind of tools you are utilizing, what kind of models you are utilizing for the estimation of the budget, workflow automation. So this comes under the microprocess tools. So remember, in a broad manner, what you have to remember under this topic: meta process relates with the infrastructure of the organization, macro process relates with the environment of the organization, micro process relates with the tools of the organization. Okay, remember these terms, then you can make your own answers. No need to cram it. So here in this topic of process automation, till now we have seen that the main focus of the process automation is the workflow of the environment, project environment, infrastructure context of the project's organization, and tool building blocks. They are important prerequisites for the automation of the processes. So embedding all these stuff into an organization will give us efficient results, efficient development of the software. Next is this diagram that you are watching right now in this slide is of process automation, and you can say it like it is a typical automation and tool components which support the process workflow. So these are the workflows, 7 workflows that we have seen: management, environment, requirement, design, implementation, assessment, deployment. And according to which, what are the different environment tools and process automation. So for management workflow automation, metric automation is preferable. For environment, change management related to database, documentation, document automation. For requirement management. For design, visual modeling. For implementation, editor, compiler, debugger. For assessment, test automation, defect tracking. For deployment, defect tracking. So these kind of things, these kind of tools are required for the process, for the purpose of the automation of the process, you can say. Okay, so many tools are available to automate this software development process, and these tools, it introduce some of the important tools that tend to be needed universally across your software projects, and they correlate well to the process framework. Most of the software development tools, they map closely to one of the process workflows, like this that we have just discussed. And according to the life cycle also, it has been shown: conception, elaboration, construction, and transition phase. Okay, so each of the process workflow has some distinct need of automation support. Each workflow has some distinct need of automation support that we are watching right now. Like for design workflow, there is a need of automation of the modeling, design part. Okay, for implementation, compiler, debugger, editor, dependent on the modern practices, can be utilized. For assessment, testing automation is required, defect tracking is required. So these kind of stuff, this diagram can come in your this in your exam. From your exam perspective, this question can come in the direct form. If they are asking you about just simply what is automation, then you can utilize all this content, 3 levels of processes, according to the workflows, what are the different tools that are to be automated in the project organization. That's it. Next is our 2-3 more things I wanted to discuss about your process automation: project control and process instrumentation. So software matrices, they are used to implement the activities and products of the software development process. And there is a need for the software matrices. Why there is a need? They are needed for calculating the budget and time period of the software product with great accuracy. First thing, they are required for making accurate estimation of the progress. Second thing, they are required for understanding the quality of the product. So all major things we have discussed here related to matrices. Why software matrices are required? First, to check out the budget, estimated budget, and the time period for the product. Then for making accurate estimation of the progress. Then for understanding the software product quality, how much it is up to the mark as per the requirements being set in starting. One more thing over here. Okay, so I will not go much further than this. I wanted to discuss one, two more points related to this automation. So we will keep our lecture up to this topic only today. I'm not going further than this one. Related to management portion of the process automation, if I'm talking about this management workflow for the process automation, then there are many opportunities for automating the project planning and the activities for the management workflow. So this software budget estimation tools, work breakdown structures, they are useful for generating these planning artifacts. And for managing against a plan, workflow management tools and the software project control panel, they can maintain online version of the status assessments. So that's why this workflow automation and metrics automation is being required for the management workflow. And for environment configuration management, performance control, version control, they are essential for the modern iterative development processes. Much of the metrics approach recommended, they are dependent on the measuring changes in the software artifacts baseline. So that's why this change management, automation for the change management is required for the environment portion of the project organization. In the same way, for the requirement portion, system requirements are captured in the vision statement. Lower levels of requirements, they are driven by the process organized by iteration rather than your lower level component. And vision statement captures the contract between the developer and the buyer, you can say. So that's why this management of the requirement, if any we can automate it, if any requirement change is there, then that will be really preferable. Next is our one more thing related to your requirements, that recommended requirement approach is dependent on both model and your text of the data, representations in the both design form and the textual form, documentation and the design. So that's why this management of the requirement, if it is being automated, it will help a lot. Next is related to our tools. The tools that support the requirement portion, design, implementation, assessment, they are usually they utilize together. And in fact, the less separable they are more better. Okay, so that's why the visual modeling, if we can perform visual modeling by utilizing obviously some automation tools, then it is preferable for the process automation of the organization. So I hope I made my all points clear till now. In the same way, we can relate things with the implementation workflow, which relies primarily on the programming environment, like your what kind of editor to be utilized, what kind of compiler you are utilizing, and but mostly it is all about your debugger, linker, runtime, how much time you are getting response, how fast development you can do, how fast implementation you are performing, what kind of tool you are utilizing for the fast implementation. So that is the purpose of the implementation workflow. And last two are your assessment and deployment only. On the for your testing part, you can say automation of the testing and tracking of the defects. So for that purpose, we have to utilize these tools for the automation of the process. Okay. So that is about your assessment and deployment. In the same way, we can see in next class we will see about the round trip engineering, about the project environment, what more tools, change management, infrastructure, automation support, how they are helping the complete project environment, and what other things are required, like your round trip engineering. First, we will discuss more. So that's it. I think I should not go further. Otherwise, it will be like I'm going very fast. Okay. So this is your unit number 4 only, and in this unit further we will see about your environment of the project, Then your process automation we have just seen completed. In which project environment is left, that I will tell you. Then there are some core matrices, indicators for the management, life cycle expectations, any software matrices related pragmatic software matrices, and automation of the metrics. All these things we have to see, of about which the little introduction I have shown over here. So right now the strength is 15. Those who have joined in last, I will mark them absent only. Please keep that thing in your mind. So for this matrix, software matrix, that's why I have told you why the software matrix is required for the project environment and what role it plays. So this project matrix, till now what you have to remember for your next class, I am telling you that this cost matrix, it helps to evaluate, to estimate the budget and time period. Then it helps to do the accurate estimation of the progress of the project. Then it helps to understand the quality of the software product. We will take this thing in more detail in next class. So till now, if you are having any doubts, if you want to ask anything related to any topic till now, you can ask me, any one of you.